Hello, fictional. Welcome to the What If Issei. Today we are gonna see, what if Issei was the dragon god got harem with Katerea Leviathan? Part 1. If you end up liking this video, please consider subscribe, so without further ado, let's get into the video. A blue-haired man with a muscular body was standing outside a mansion with well-made designs and fortified barrier magic surrounding the layout. Knock knock. The man crossed his muscular arms as he waited for the door to be opened. And to his convenience the door was answered. A man with dark brown hair was standing inside the mansion, behind the door. The man's emerald eyes staring deep into the visitor's Atlantic blue orbs. "Ah, welcome Leviathan-sama," greeted the brown-haired man as he welcomed the newly revealed Satan. "Basara, your household is as beautiful as ever," complimented Leviathan with a genuine smile. "You're too kind, my lord," said Basara modestly. The Satan giggled and soon entered the beautiful mansion. As Leviathan stepped inside the mansion and scanned the interior, he was greeted by a beautiful woman with whitish blonde hair, very nice curves and a massive bust size. "It is wonderful to meet you again, Leviathan-sama," greeted the busty woman as she bowed her head down with respect. "Raise your head, Helena. I wouldn't want your son to think that I'm a tyrant of some sorts," said Leviathan as he chuckled shortly. "Of course, if it is what you wish," stated Helena with a smile as she rose her head. "Now, where is that ever-growing handsome young man?" asked Leviathan as he looked around the mansion, hoping to spot the son of Basara and Helena. Leviathan looked around the mansion but could not find the boy. He was about to sigh in disappointment until he was called out. "Uncle Leviathan," shouted a young man with light brown hair and brown eyes. It was obvious to Leviathan that the boy had taken a lot from his father, which wasn't necessarily a bad thing. Leviathan grinned as the boy came crashing down on him, embracing the boy with a hug. "It seems that you are stronger than the last time we met, Issei," said Leviathan with a grin as he and Issei connected their fists. "I've been training hard. I can even do a bit of water magic now," informed Issei as he opened his palm and a sphere of water formed. "That's good. You are slowly becoming a Leviathan in your own way. And keep training your body the way you are right now and the girls won't be able to resist you when you grow up," teased Leviathan as he soon smirked when he saw Issei blush. "I see you're still trying to get my brother to become a Leviathan fanatic, but it'll never happen," said a new female voice, getting Leviathan to look at the voice's direction with a slightly annoyed aura. "I did not realize you were awake. Give the true Leviathan his due respect. It is embarrassing to see a member of the family disrespecting Leviathan-sama," said Helena, slightly disappointed in her daughter's rude manners. "Fear not, mother, I shall return to my slumber after a good meal. And I don't care about his due respect. Whatever he does to my brother, I know that Issei will follow the path of swordsmanship and not wet girly magic," informed the daughter of Helena with clear distaste towards the Satan. "Good to see you too, IsseixKaterea," greeted Leviathan sarcastically. "Spare me the sarcasm," said IsseixKaterea as she headed towards the kitchen to make her meal. Leviathan looked to his side to see Issei frowning. He knew that the boy wanted to learn how to use the same magic he did. But he also knew that Issei loved his sister very much. The two went through a tragedy and that apparently got them closer to each other. "Issei, could you come with me for a bit?" asked Leviathan. "May I ask what for?" asked Helena curiously. "I merely wish to discuss something with the boy," replied Leviathan vaguely. "I see, forgive me for my insolence," apologized Helena as she bowed her head down. "Well?" asked Leviathan as he looked towards Issei. "Sure," replied Issei enthusiastically. Leviathan nodded with a grin as he created a magic circle which teleported both him and Issei. Issei was surprised to see that he had been teleported to Leviathan's office. The boy looked on with awe and praise as the Satan's office looked like the world's best aquarium, with the exception of fish. Leviathan saw this and grinned proudly. "So Issei, how do you like my office?" asked Leviathan curiously, although he already knew the boy's answer. "It's awesome. Wow, you really take being a Leviathan seriously," replied Issei enthusiastically. "Haha, well anyway, I bet you're wondering why I brought you here, right?" asked Leviathan as he crossed his arms. Issei nodded positively, which gave Leviathan the signal to release a small amount of his aura. This shocked Issei as this powerful aura was almost enough to bring him down on his knees, and Issei knew that the Satan wasn't releasing anything close to 5% of his full power. "This aura is amazing, but it doesn't seem hostile. It's like a beacon of some sort," thought Issei, still in shock at the sudden outburst of power. Soon enough the Leviathan smiled and refrained from letting any more of his aura leak out. Issei and Leviathan just stood there, silent, until the door to the office burst open. "Burst. I have arrived, grandfather," shouted a girl with long brown hair, a pair of glasses and blue-gray eyes. "Good to see you, Katerea. This is Issei Hyoudou, the son of one of my most trusted allies," greeted Leviathan as he introduced Issei. The girl looked at Issei with a slight blush, but soon greeted him. "It's nice to meet you, Hyoudou-san," greeted Katerea as she bowed her head down in respect. Issei blushed at the girl's cute welcome, but the boy controlled his hormones and greeted the girl properly. "It's nice to meet you too, Katerea-chan," greeted Issei. Katerea blushed at the addition of Chan, but this simply made Leviathan grin, as it seemed something was going according to his plans. "Now, Issei. The reason I brought you here was because I wanted to introduce you to my nephew, Katerea Leviathan," stated Leviathan as he grinned. "But, why did you want me and this boy to meet grandfather?" asked Katerea curiously as she tilted the staff that she was holding. "Well, you see," uttered Leviathan nervously before looking towards Issei's direction and grinning. "Issei, Katerea here will become your fiancé," stated Leviathan, not taking no for an answer. Issei looked towards Leviathan for a few moments, and then to Katerea, and then back to Leviathan. Soon the two younglings shouted simultaneously. "What?" shouted Katerea and Issei simultaneously. "What do you mean she's gonna be my fiancé?" asked Issei shocked. "Exactly what it means, the two of you will one day get married and make children," replied Leviathan with a grin. "Grandfather. You can't just make that happen because you desire it. Not even you have the power to do that legally," argued Katerea with a fact. Leviathan frowned and looked down at the ground, his bangs covering his eyes. Katerea paled a bit after seeing her grandfather like this, she had made him mad. Or so she thought. "That's true," uttered Leviathan, getting the hopes of Issei and Katerea up. "But both of your parents have already agreed to it. Ha 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 ha," added Leviathan before laughing, with a victorious smirk pasted across his facial structure. "No way. There's no way my mother would agree to a marriage with someone I don't even know," stated Issei with shock and disbelief. "True, but it was your father who agreed to this. Basara taught you Hyoudou," informed Leviathan before laughing once again. "Father," muttered Issei as he fell on the ground on his knees, defeated. "Why am I not surprised?" thought Issei before an image of his father laughing with his arms crossed appeared on his head. "So I really am going to marry this boy?" asked Katerea, sounding defeated as well. But even though she wouldn't admit it, she found the boy to be handsome. "Oh, only slightly," said Katerea in her head. "But fear not. The marriage will commence once both of you are at the age of 18. And once you are a devil king, Katerea, Issei will be your greatest warrior and your lover at the same time," reassured Leviathan as he stated some reassuring news. "That's not reassuring at all," shouted Issei and Katerea at the same time. 8 years later. Leviathan was sitting inside his office with full battle armor. "A shame that we must attack heaven now. Of all times, I guess I'll be there for dinner at the very least," thought Leviathan before a soldier opened the door to his office. "Leviathan-sama. Lucifer-sama is calling for you," informed a devil soldier. "Thank you, tell Lucifer that I'll be there soon," said Leviathan. The soldier nodded before leaving. Leviathan summoned a magic circle which fit perfectly beside his ear. It seemed to be ringing like a cell phone. "Hello?" asked a man who seemed to be contacted by the Satan. "Basara, it's Leviathan," said Leviathan. He chuckled a bit when he heard Basara's coffee spill from the magic circle or phone in this case. "Leviathan-sama. What do you require from me?" asked Basara, regaining his composure. "Look, I'm about to gather with the other Satans to prepare for our attack on heaven, and since our opponent is God, I wanted to thank you for your loyalty. Your family has served me well," stated Leviathan with a sad tone. Even a devil can develop feelings of camaraderie. "Leviathan-sama, you speak as if your death is guaranteed," muttered Basara lowly. "Hehe, you know it is. But when Issei learns of my death, tell him it wasn't in vain, because I will not die without taking that old geezer with me," said Leviathan confidently. "He will be sad, but what about his engagement?" asked Basara concerned. "Oh yeah, when I die, the engagement will definitely be cancelled as I have sponsored it," replied Leviathan disappointed. "And I wanted to see it through as well," added Leviathan. "Heh, the two of them became really good friends too just for the engagement," stated Basara. "Yeah, but maybe this time the man will have to work for his girl, whoever it may be," said Leviathan jokingly. Basara stayed quiet as he couldn't find it within himself to laugh or even chuckle. "Basara, you are relieved of your duties," stated Leviathan as he retracted the magic circle, disconnecting the call with Basara Hyoudou. Leviathan then exited his office and headed to the battlefield alongside Lucifer, Asmodeus and Beelzebub. The Satans and their armies flew up and entered the massive portal to heaven. The great war that had been going on for years was about to end. "Time to die, I suppose," thought Leviathan as he charged in with his massive army. "Basara, you are relieved of your duties," stated Leviathan as he disconnected his link with Basara Tauju Hyoudou. "Leviathan-sama, shouted Basara as he was shocked at the sudden goodbye. Basara stood up and headed towards the balcony of his mansion, which was at the second floor. He watched from far away, the armies of devils charging into heaven. What caught his eyes though, was a certain man with godly armor and streaks of water surrounding his form. Leviathan Sama, even if you die, my family will serve your descendants and those who hold the title of Leviathan. That is one thing that not even you can take away, Leviathan Sama. Thought Basara as he closed his eyes. But his thoughts were interrupted when a spear of light penetrated his knee. What? Thought Basara before his head was hit by another light spear. From the sky descended 10 angels. An ambush. The capital is in danger. I'm sorry, Issei, Helena and IsseixKaterea. Thought Basara before his body disintegrated due to the angels. Helena headed to the balcony as she heard some commotion, only to witness the terrifying sight of her husband getting killed by a group of angels. Basara. No, it can't be. Uttered Helena in disbelief as her husband disintegrated. It's the tsunami queen. Kill her quickly. Ordered one of the angels as the group started throwing light spears at the woman. The light spears were all blocked by a wall of water. No way. Uttered one of the angels. Destroy. Muttered Helena as the water morphed into multiple spears and shot themselves at the angels, killing 6 of them. Only 4 of the angels survived the attack. This was most likely due to their high rank. The angels had 8 wings. Take this. Shouted one of the female angels as she created a massive light spear and threw it at the tsunami queen. Useless. Muttered Helena as she formed a beast of some sort with her water magic and used it to devour the light spear. The angel looked on in horror as the water beast soon ascended and devoured her entire body. Helena quickly dashed towards one of the angels and stabbed them with a sword made out of water from behind. Why, you, uttered the angel before he fell on the ground lifeless. Helena faced the other 2 angels to see them chanting some sort of spell, but she wouldn't allow it to happen. Helena unleashed a barrage of water attacks, but there was a powerful barrier surrounding the 2 angels. Are they calling for backup? Thought Helena as she continued thrusting her water spears at the barrier. Your prayers have been answered, my brothers, stated a man with short brown hair and a beard, 8 wings shining brightly behind his back and a halo above his head. Why are you not in heaven assisting the other angels? Asked Helena, confused at the sudden appearance of the legendary angel. I was part of the ambush team, assigned by my father, but it seems I was too late to save some of them. Forgive me, O Lord. Replied the angel as he prayed for forgiveness. Helena looked doubtful. She was not sure she could take this man alone. However, she then saw IsseixKaterea outside the mansion with Issei. Mother. I'm coming. Shouted IsseixKaterea as she quickly summoned multiple of her blades. Me too. Said Issei as he looked like he was about to summon something until his mother interrupted him. No. Both of you stop. I will not have you dying here. IsseixKaterea, take Issei and run. Ordered Helena. Knowing her mother, IsseixKaterea knew that her mother would just scold her if she didn't obey. Fine, replied IsseixKaterea hesitantly. What? Just like that we can't leave her here. Shouted Issei before he was quickly knocked out by IsseixKaterea as she summoned a blade behind the devil and used its hilt to knock him unconscious. That's a good girl, said Helena with a loving smile. IsseixKaterea formed tears on her eyes as she quickly ran away from their soon-to-be-destroyed mansion. Shall we continue? Asked the angel, who had been patiently waiting for the family and its matters to finish. Yes, I am fully prepared to die fighting you, Son of God, Jesus Christ. Replied Helena as her body was surrounded by water. 20 years later. Wake up. If you don't wake up, I'll kiss you. Uttered an alarm with its dear girl. A boy with light brown hair and brown eyes was waking up. He soon turned his alarm off as it was annoying him to a slight degree. Yo, Issei, wake up. Said a girl with amazing curves, whitish blonde hair, crimson red eyes and a very nice bust size. 1 each and 5 more minutes. Said Issei as he rolled beneath his blanket. You know it's your first day at school. If mother were here she would splash you with water, so you're lucky I'm not all too familiar with that archetype of magic. Retorted IsseixKaterea as she started to pull Issei out of his bed. But I'm like 38 years old. Why do I have to go to school? Asked Issei desperately as he tried to get back to bed. You're only 18 in human age. So you have to go to school. Replied IsseixKaterea as she successfully threw Issei onto the cabinet which contained his uniform. Ugh. Fine. Said Issei as he gave up and simply proceeded to put his uniform on. Good, breakfast's downstairs. Stated IsseixKaterea as she left the room. Geez, she's wearing nothing but a t-shirt and really short shorts. I wonder if she's just teasing me or trying to get me to make a move on her, thought Issei as he removed his shirt. Beneath was a muscular body with 6-pack abs. Issei had a body that girls could die for, but then again so did his sister. Maybe it runs in the family, thought Issei suggestively as he buttoned his uniform and put his shoes on. Partner, you do realize that there are a few devils attending this Kuo Academy, right? Asked a deep menacing voice, but it seemed that only Issei was able to hear him. Of course I do, Drake. Maybe you're thinking too little of me again. Need I remind you that I can fight on par with you in your prime state? Replied Issei. Getting Drake to laugh. Hahaha. Your ferocity never ceases to entertain me, partner. Informed Drake as he soon returned to his slumber. Back to sleep so soon. Lazy lizard, thought Issei annoyed. As Issei finished getting dressed and packing up, he proceeded to go downstairs to eat breakfast. Issei looked at the table to see that his sister had made him some tempura, which he was grateful for. "Thanks for cooking my favorite," thanked Issei genuinely as he began to eat the delicious prawn. IsseixKaterea, who was watching TV, smiled at her brother's gratitude. "Well, if you really want to thank me, how about a kiss?" asked IsseixKaterea teasingly. Issei almost choked on his food but was able to swallow. "Haha, good one," said Issei as he interpreted it as a joke. IsseixKaterea dropped the remote and dashed towards Issei with a small thin dagger. Issei was completely immobilized. "It wasn't a joke," whispered IsseixKaterea as she licked Issei's ear. "What the hell?" muttered Issei as IsseixKaterea began laughing and went back to the couch where she was watching TV. "Drake, hey you there?" called Issei in his thoughts. "Great, he's still asleep," thought Issei as he finished eating his meal and exited the house after saying goodbye to IsseixKaterea. He then proceeded to go towards his school. As Issei was approaching his new school, Kuo Academy, he could feel the presence of a supernatural being, a fallen angel. I'm being watched, Azazel perhaps, thought Issei as he simply ignored the fallen angel. After a few minutes of walking, Issei had arrived at the gates of his school. There were hundreds of students in the campus, and Issei immediately knew that he would be experiencing hell, ironically. "Wait, is he a student?" asked a female student. "He totally is. He's even wearing the uniform," replied a different female student. "He's so hot," said a female student blushing. Perhaps I can form a harem here," thought Issei. "That would be a massive downgrade, a dragon like yourself should only get the best girls," said Drake as he complimented Issei. "That'd be too much, I don't think of myself as a god of some sort," said Issei in his thoughts as he began walking inside the campus. All of the females were looking at him with lust, while the boys looked at him with jealous eyes. Issei arrived outside of his classroom to be greeted by his teacher. The teacher had told him to wait until he was called so that he may introduce himself properly. "Alright, we have a new student today. You can come in now," called the teacher after settling the class. The slide door was opened, and what came in was an incredibly handsome light brown-haired male student. After seeing Issei come in, the girls all squealed in excitement. "Now, introduce yourself," said the teacher as he gave the boy some chalk. Issei nodded and wrote his name on the board behind him. "My name is Issei Hyoudou. I was born in Europe and have come to Japan interested in its culture. Please take care of me," introduced Issei as he bowed his head down. All of his classmates were impressed by his calm demeanor and manners. "Good job, now I will allow 3 questions for Issei Hyoudou. Make it count," stated the teacher as he opened up a panel for questions. Multiple females raised their hands and so did some boys. Issei looked over to a boy with glasses and picked him as he was raising his hand. The boy smirked as he stood up. "Why did you come here of all places? Did you come to take all of the girls?" asked the boy with a smirk. As he asked this question, the girls in the class looked at him with fire in their eyes. "How dare you try to infect him with your perversion?" shouted one of the girls with pink hair as she tried to hit him with a wooden sword. But was surprised to see that it was blocked before it hit the boy. It was blocked by none other than Issei. "It's alright, I will answer any question given to me," stated Issei as he went back in front. Everyone was surprised to see that their new classmate was skilled with martial arts. "Now, I came here because as I said I am interested in the country's culture. And no, I did not come here to take every girl away. I already have a fiancé," answered Issei as he frowned slightly. "Well, I guess that last part isn't true, not anymore at least," thought Issei, slightly depressed that he was no longer engaged with a beautiful woman. "Oh, he's engaged new," shouted the girls in the class with disappointment as they no longer had a chance with Issei Hyoudou. Issei continued to call another student for their question. He called a female with brown hair and glasses. "So, who exactly are you engaged with? And what are her features?" asked the female, getting Issei to flinch slightly. I don't even know anymore, it's been ages," thought Issei, struggling to answer the question. You're trapped," stated Drake before laughing, much to the annoyance of Issei. "Well, she has massive breasts, beautiful blue-gray eyes and sexy curves," answered Issei, not entirely sure if his answer was correct as Katerea could have changed in the past years. The boys in the class were drooling as they imagined Issei's fiancé, while the girls were jealous. Alright, thanks for the honest answer," thanked the girl as she sat down. "Alright. That's enough, we're going to start the lesson now, please find a seat, Mr. Hyoudou," said the teacher as he began writing on the board. Issei nodded as he then found a seat at the back, beside the window. Issei did not listen to the lesson as he already knew most of the lessons that humans teach to other humans. He simply stared outside the window, waiting for something exciting to happen. "Mr. Hyoudou, could you please answer this equation?" called the teacher as he noticed Issei was not listening. Issei stood up and answered the problem easily. Once finished he went back to his seat. The teacher and the entire class was surprised to see that Issei, who was supposedly not listening, answered the hardest problem with ease. "Good job, Mr. Hyoudou," complimented the teacher as he continued with the lesson. Soon enough, classes ended and it was time to take a break. Issei headed outside the building and sat under a tree, devouring the tempura his sister made for him. "Ah, if there's one thing that sis does right it's tempura," thought Issei joyfully as he swallowed his food. Issei was about to eat another one until he saw someone looking at him. Issei looked at the direction it was coming from. It seemed to be coming from one of old school buildings, one where the supposed occult research club was located. When Issei looked over to the building, he saw a red-haired beauty looking at him, her hair flowing with the air. "If I'm not mistaken, that's Ria's Gremory of the Gremory household," thought Issei as he stared right into her eyes. "You got that right, partner. There is no mistake, I can sense the aura of a devil within her," said Drake informatively. Issei watched as the devil closed the window, further denying Issei's side of her. "Well, at least I have my privacy now," thought Issei as he was about to start eating again, until he saw from far ahead that multiple girls were running towards him. "Crap," said Issei as he quickly packed his food and began running away. "Ria's Pav. That boy, he's definitely not human," thought Riaz as she stared at the handsome young man from inside her clubroom. "Find anything interesting, Riaz?" asked a raven-haired beauty with purple eyes and a bigger bust size compared to Riaz. "Yes, this new student. Do you happen to know his name, Akeno?" asked Riaz as she closed the window and sat down on a couch. Him? I believe it was Issei Hyoudou, Class 2B, replied Akeno as she placed 2 cups of tea on the table. "Thank you," thanked Riaz as she grabbed a cup of tea and drank it. "Kindly have Kaneko investigate," ordered Riaz as she sipped on her tea. "Understood, Riaz," replied Akeno as she went to do her master's bidding. "Hopefully you're strong," Issei Hyoudou thought Riaz hopefully. But it never occurred to her that this certain devil might have been too strong for her. Issei had hidden from the dozens of girls that ran after him, but he was safe within a locker. "What the hell is up with these girls?" thought Issei, panting softly. Knowing you already have godly looks naturally, adding the boosted gear's natural ability to attract the opposite sex. It is only natural that humans have no resistance whatsoever to your charms. Explained Drake, getting Issei to smirk a bit. "Well, if you put it like that," thought Issei as an image of a massive harem appeared in his perverted head. "What you're imagining right now isn't impossible, in fact the chance of you obtaining a massive harem is quite high," stated Drake, getting Issei to blush even more perversely. As Issei was imagining his harem, an image of a certain brown-haired female giggling appeared. "Ah!" shouted Issei as he then looked down at his pants to see his shaft pulsing. "Did you seriously get turned on by the giggle of Katerea Leviathan, but not when imagining a massive harem?" asked Drake, dumbfounded. "Don't judge me," said Issei in his head before paling at the sight of a few females roaming the area. "Damn, where did he go? I really wanted to eat with him," said a female student. "I know, right? Then we could have fed him," said another female, disappointed. "What other twisted fantasies do they have about me?" thought Issei as he sighed, waiting for the right time to get out. As Issei's break time had finished, he went through the rest of the classes. After class, many clubs wanted to recruit him, but Issei couldn't decide yet. Due to this he decided to proceed back to his home, as he had nothing else to do at school. It was getting late and Issei wanted to get home quickly for breakfast. But he stopped walking at a small bridge to check his messages on his phone until he noticed the very same fallen angel presence he felt earlier. But this time it was approaching him. Issei looked to his right to see a pretty raven-haired student with purple eyes. She was definitely from another school, as Issei got a close-up look on the female attire of Kuo Academy, much to his disdain. You're Issei Hyoudou, right?" asked the girl blushing, but Issei could tell it was forced. "I can sense evil intention from her, she's probably trying to get close to you just to kill you later on," stated Drake informatively. "Yeah, I can tell," said Issei in his head, but he decided he would play along. "Yes," replied Issei, with incredible acting. "Hahaha. I almost forgot you were an incredible actor," said Drake as he laughed at his partner's talent. "That's great. Would you like to go out with me?" offered the fallen angel. "Ah, so a date is her course of action," thought Issei, amused. "You should accept it, she has a pretty nice rack. And I'm sure Albion would give his opinion on her ass if he was here," suggested Drake, adding some extra details. "So you're the breast dragon emperor, while Albion is the butt dragon emperor? Hahaha," thought Issei as he laughed inside his head, struggling to keep himself from laughing in the real world. "Don't say anything like that again, for some reason that name makes me depressed," said Drake as he decided to shut up. "Really sure?" replied Issei as he accepted the offer. The fallen angel perked up, but once again it was forced. "Thank you so much. Does Sunday sound alright?" asked the fallen angel. Issei nodded his head saying yes. Great. I guess I'll see you on Sunday. We'll meet by the mall. Sorry, but I have to go now, said the fallen angel as she began going to opposite direction of Issei. You still haven't told me your name, said Issei, slightly insulted. Does she think that I'm so desperate that I'd go on a date with some whose name I don't even know? Thought Issei. It's Yuma, replied the fallen angel as she ran off with a fake smile. Heh. Hopefully IsseixKaterea and Katerea won't mind, thought Issei. You're not engaged with the descendant anymore, she wouldn't mind even if she were here, said Drake bluntly. Issei pouted but continued walking back to his home. Underworld. The beautiful girl with long black hair tied into twin tails was humming a tune as she was walking towards the office of a certain devil. IsseixKaterea, you in there? Asked the girl with a smile on her face. The doors opened and revealed the Crimson Satan, Isseixkaterea. Having the appearance of a man in his early 20s with shoulder-length crimson-red hair and blue-green eyes, he looked almost exactly like his sister, Ria's Gremory. Serafal, I see you've received my message, said Isseixkaterea as he welcomed the fellow Mayu inside. Yep. You said it was important, so since I had nothing to do I came immediately, informed Serafal as she stepped inside the office and took a seat. Isseixkaterea closed the doors and took a seat as well. So. What's so important that we had to talk in private? Asked Serafal with a cheerful tone. Serafal, do you remember one of the old devil households, the Hyoudou household? Asked Isseixkaterea with a serious face. After hearing this, Serafal formed a serious face as well. Yes I do, why do you ask? Replied Serafal, asking another question. Some of the spies I sent over to watch over my baby sister reported some interesting news, informed Isseixkaterea as he took out some files. Serafal took the files and opened one, reading the content. Riaz has taken interest in making one of Kuo Academy's new students Issei Hyoudou, uttered Serafal as she read the file. Perhaps it could just be a coincidence. I mean, there might be some human families with the name Hyoudou, right? Suggested Serafal in slight disbelief. That's what I thought at first, but what if he is a member of the Hyoudou household? Would you take him in as your personal bodyguard? Asked Isseixkaterea curiously. Serafal thought really carefully and decided on her answer. I mean, the Hyoudou household should be loyal to the Leviathans, right? So if he decides to pledge his loyalty to me, then I'll gladly accept his services, replied Serafal with a cheerful face. Isseixkaterea smiled at this. That would be very beneficial for us. The Hyoudou household was one of the most powerful back in the day, but they were mostly known for ending the life of Jesus Christ himself, said Isseixkaterea informatively. Serafal nodded at this. We shall wait and see then. If he does turn out to be a member of the Hyoudou household, we'll get him to join us, said Isseixkaterea. Time skip, Sunday. Issei was going through his clothes, choosing the best one for his date with the fallen angel. The one who called herself Yuma. You know, I could pick your clothes for you. I do know your body well and I'm a girl, suggested IsseixKaterea with a slight bit of tease. Issei looked at her with an uninterested face. No, you're my sister. I'm not interested in you at all, said Issei bluntly. IsseixKaterea appeared to have a tick mark on her head as she then pointed a sword at Issei's neck, making him flinch. Not interested at all. Do you realize how much that sentence pisses my body off? Asked IsseixKaterea with an annoyed face. Issei chuckled weakly as he raised his arms up in surrender. Why? You were the best host I've ever had. And now you're gonna die. I'm sorry I failed you, partner, sobbed Drake jokingly. Oh, shut up, said Issei in his head. Issei had arrived at the location of his supposed date. He was waiting for Yuma by a fountain until he was approached by some cosplayer. A familiar, thought Issei as he accepted the piece of paper given to him, but he knew it was a contract. It seems the Gremory girl is making her move on you, said Drake. Yeah, but does she expect to make me her servant? I mean, a high-class devil won't be able to turn an ultimate class like me into her servant, thought Issei confused. Well, some people are desperate. She just happens to be one of them, and besides, you're hiding your true strength, so nobody knows how powerful you really are, stated Drake. I guess that's true, thought Issei before the sight of Yuma brought him back to reality. Issei. You really came. Did I keep you waiting? Greeted Yuma sweetly. Ah, no, I actually just got here, replied Issei before grinning. I've always wanted to say that, thought Issei happily. Well, let's start, shall we? Suggested Issei as he offered Yuma his hand. Yuma blushed before happily grabbing Issei's hand. The two went through a mall, an aquarium and a few restaurants and stores, and they then arrived at a park with a fountain at dusk. Issei assumed that this was the time where Yuma would try to do something supernatural. Issei walked with Yuma, their hands connected. They arrived in front of a fountain at an empty park, where Yuma suddenly broke off their hands and headed closer to the fountain with her purse in hand. She's making her move, thought Issei excited. Best not to be too confident, what if she turns out to be a fallen angel leader? Asked Drake, giving a possible situation. The fallen angel leader wouldn't be so inexperienced at hiding their aura. Said Issei in his head as he then watched Yuma turn to him with a smile. I really had fun today, said Yuma with a cheerful tone. Yeah, this was the best date ever. Said Issei, obviously acting. Can I ask you a question? In order to honor our first date, there's something I'd like you to do to commemorate this special moment. Asked Yuma as she approached Issei. Sure, I'll do anything. Replied Issei with a fake blush, but it looked convincing. Partner, said Drake with a warning tone. Wait for it, said Issei in his thoughts. Would you die for me? Asked Yuma with a deeper, more mature voice. I'm sorry, could you repeat that? I think there's something wrong with my ears today, uttered Issei, still acting. Yuma grinned as she then whispered to his ear, I want you to die for me. Ahahaha. Laughed Yuma as she then began to take the form of a fallen angel. Ah, so this is how she ends her little act. Amusing. Thought Issei as she acted like he was shocked and fell to the ground. Well, I have to admit I did have some fun today considering how naive and childish you are, things could have been much worse. And thanks for the gift by the way, very sweet. But. Even so, said Yuma as she summoned a spear that was glowing. Naive and childish. I wonder how she would react to seeing my true state, thought Issei darkly. Don't get carried away, partner. Said Drake, getting Issei to come back to his senses. It's time to die. Said Yuma as she threw the light spear towards Issei. But she was suddenly shocked, she saw that her light spear hadn't pierced Issei's stomach. Issei was holding the light spear with two of his fingers. What? How are you holding that? You're just a mere human. Said Yuma surprised. I was expecting a four-winged fallen angel at the very least, but hell, this is even more disappointing than I expected. Said Issei disappointed. Why you? Uttered Yuma before throwing two more light spears, but Issei blocked them with his left arm as he activated something that filled Yuma with pure fear. Boost. Shouted the boosted gear as a gauntlet formed on Issei's left hand. Boosted gear, nobody told me that you held the boosted gear. Stuttered Yuma as she flew away with panic. Sorry, but I can't let you go now that you've seen my boosted gear. Stated Issei as he released his devil wings to add even more fear to her spirit. She was facing not only the wielder of the boosted gear, but also an ultimate class devil. You wield the boosted gear, and you have 10 wings, uttered Yuma with shock. Issei smirked as he flew up and smashed Yuma down to the ground. The crater had been formed at the fountain, the fallen angel was unconscious due to the hit. Issei landed and retracted his devil wings. Well, time to die, I guess. Said Issei, bored as he created a magic circle beneath Yuma and released a blast of energy. Her body had been completely disintegrated. As soon as all of the damage had been fixed, Issei proceeded to return to his home. His sadistic side was disappointed, but his normal side was just purely bored and tired. You know, you didn't have to use the boosted gear, said Drake, confused. True, but I wanted to show her fear, so I released my devil wings and used you, and besides, I haven't used the boosted gear in a while. Stated Issei as he shrugged. A magic circle appeared at the very same park where the battle between Issei and Yuma had commenced, although it wasn't really much of a battle. As the magic circle's light died down, it revealed Ria's Gremory and Akeno Himejima. No, I was too late, muttered Rias as she saw that neither Issei nor the fallen angel was in the park. I guess we should have arrived earlier. I'm sorry, Rias. Comforted Akeno. Rias shook her head and prepared another magic circle to return to their previous location. The next day. Please wake up, I don't want to be alone, said a sad cute girl, until Issei turned off his alarm. Nissan isn't coming to wake me up? Thought Issei as he rubbed his sleepy eyes. Well, you know what that means, said Drake as he cut off his connection with Issei. Oh no, thought Issei before a blue magic circle appeared on the floor. As the light died down, it revealed a beautiful and attractive young woman with a voluptuous figure, long black hair with split bangs, and hazel gold eyes with cat-like pupils. Baroka, what are you doing here? Asked Issei, surprised to see the wanted devil. Nah, is it so bad that I want to see my little Issei? Your sis allowed me to come and visit since it's my day off. Replied Kuroka as she got closer to Issei and wrapped her body around his, which made him blush. Hey wait, day off? What is your job anyway? Asked Issei curiously. Nah, you didn't know? Nah, haha, well I guess I'll just keep it a surprise. Replied Kuroka, not revealing her job. Well, I need to get dressed, so said Issei before being pushed down on the bed by Kuroka. Leaving so soon? How about you just be absent for today and we can have some fun here? Suggested Kuroka as she pulled down her kimono slightly, revealing more cleavage. I don't think Nissan would like that very much, stated Issei nervously. Don't worry, I already put down a magical barrier with my senjutsu, only Satan-class beings will be able to get through that. Reassured Kuroka as she then took off her kimono, revealing her beautiful skin and big bouncy breasts to Issei. Shit. Going into overdrive. Thought Issei as his shaft was about to burst out of his pants zipper. At least some part of you wants me. Said Kuroka teasingly as she looked at Issei's bulging pants. Ah, to hell with this, said Issei as he took his shirt off, revealing his incredible body and six-pack. Making Kuroka blush hard. As Issei and Kuroka had finished with their session, the two got dressed and proceeded downstairs. Kuroka was walking down with a smile of satisfaction on her face, while Issei sighed. Hoi. Issei, why didn't you go to school? Asked IsseixKaterea slightly irritated. I was distracted. I'm going now. Replied Issei as he quickly grabbed his packed food and got out of the house. Kuroka looked at the door which Issei had exited and smiled. You look pretty happy, Kuroka-chan. Did something happen? Asked IsseixKaterea curiously. Nah. Nothing happened, you're just hallucinating. Replied Kuroka as she then sat down the table and began to eat. IsseixKaterea looked at the Nekomata devil confused. Issei was walking pretty fast as he was going to be late for school if he didn't hurry. As he was walking down in the center of the town, he heard a high-pitched yelp. He looked to his right to see a short blonde and petite girl had tripped over clumsily. It seems like she had a nun outfit. A nun? Quite a dangerous place for someone from the church. Thought Issei as he simply continued walking, minding his own business. He looked behind once again to see that a tall female with navy blue hair and yellow eyes helped her up and began walking away with her. Issei could sense that the female was a fallen angel. Are you feeling the need to help that girl? Because I am, she must have an affinity with dragons. Said Drag. An affinity with dragons? How come I don't feel anything for that girl? Asked Issei in his head. Maybe it's because you're sadistic, or maybe you have some high resistance to her affinity. Replied Drag, somewhat jokingly. That's not very nice, thought Issei as he was getting close to his school. It was a joke, partner. Stated Drag as he chuckled at his host's seriousness. Issei sighed after hearing this and just continued walking. As Issei arrived at his school, he noticed that there were no students outside. Which meant that he was late. Hurriedly Issei ran towards the building and headed for class immediately. Issei ran the hallways with unfathomable speed and quickly arrived at his classroom's door. Getting ready to apologize, he entered the room and immediately bowed his head down. I'm very sorry. I was late due to some personal matters. Apologized Issei, getting all of his classmates and his teacher to look at him with shock. But they weren't shocked because of his apology, they were shocked at something else. Is something wrong? Asked Issei as he looked up to see everyone looking at him with wide eyes. No, it's just you weren't dead. Asked a teacher as if he had seen a ghost. What? Why would I be dead? Asked Issei confused as he began scratching his head. The student council announced that you had been a victim of a terrible car crash. I will report this immediately. Excuse me. Replied the teacher as he exited the classroom and headed to the student council office. Issei sighed as he then took a seat, waiting for his teacher to return. His classmates were all asking questions. The girls mostly asked if he was okay, while the boys were telling him that he should have died. Issei just waved the questions off, saying that he was never in a car crash accident and that he was home the entire time. The class heard the door to the classroom open, so everybody immediately returned to their seats. But to everyone's surprise, it wasn't their teacher that came in their classroom, it was Ria's Gremory. Ria-senpai. What brings you to our classroom? Asked one of the girls. Ria simply raised her hand at her, telling her to keep quiet. The girl obeyed. Ria soon pointed her hand towards Issei. I need you to come with me. Said Ria as she pointed her finger at Issei. Ah, I understand now, thought Issei as he stood up. Me? What for? Asked Issei curiously. We have some important matters to discuss with you, you will be excused from your classes for today. Replied Ria as she approached him and grabbed his hand, pulling him out of the classroom. Hey. Where are you taking me? Asked Issei as he was being dragged through the school hallways. I will explain everything once we get to the clubroom. Replied Riaz as they entered the old school building. As Riaz had gotten Issei inside her clubroom, she offered him a seat, which he accepted. Oh my, why did you bring him here, Riaz? Asked Akeno curiously. He should have died from that fallen angel, but yet here he is. Replied Riaz as she took a seat on the opposite couch to Issei's. Fallen angel? What are you talking about? Asked Issei, playing dumb. Issei Hyoudou, do you know about devils, angels and fallen angels? Asked Riaz as she took a cup of tea from Akeno. She also nodded to the two people that entered the clubroom, Hyoudou Kiba and Kaneko Taoju. Yeah. Replied Issei. Well, to make it simple, we're devils. Stated Riaz as she and the rest of the devils in the room released their wings. Only one pair for all of them. That makes them pretty weak. Thought Issei as he baptized each of them. Wait, why are you telling me this? Asked Issei confused. Before I answer that, I need you to answer a few of my questions first. Said Riaz as she put her cup of tea down. Issei looked around him to see that they were forming some kind of barrier, they weren't planning on letting him go, and they were keeping their guard up. "Now, tell me, how did you survive your encounter with that fallen angel?" asked Riaz as she narrowed her eyes. "I don't know, I didn't have an encounter with a fallen angel," replied Issei looking confused. Riaz got slightly irritated. "Don't lie to me. We know that the fallen angel you went on a date with planned on killing you, so you must have done something to prevent that," stated Riaz as she crossed her legs. Issei was impressed by this girl's boldness, she didn't even know who she was messing with, yet she's so confident. Issei sighed as he crossed his legs as well and cracked his knuckles. "Well, you're certainly confident, princess," said Issei as he looked at Riaz with serious eyes. Riaz flinched a bit at this, and the other members of her peerage got cautious. "I see no reason to answer your questions, Gremory. So how about you convince me?" suggested Issei before Kiba pointed his sword at his throat. "Kiba, wait," ordered Riaz as Kiba then put his sword away. Issei grinned at the knight's actions. "What can I do that'll make you talk?" asked Riaz seriously. "I want to see your dedication, so how about you strip for me?" replied Issei, getting everyone else in the room to get ready to fight. Riaz looked at Issei disgusted. "Ha ha ha ha. Just kidding," said Issei as he laughed. Everyone was confused at Issei's actions, but decided to calm down for a bit. "I was just messing with you, go on then, ask away," added Issei with a smirk. Riaz hesitantly nodded and sat down. "So, how did you stop the fallen angel from killing you?" asked Riaz curiously. "Simple, I killed her," replied Issei quickly. Riaz was shocked for a moment but decided to continue. "What are you exactly? You're definitely not human," said Riaz as she asked her next question. "Half devil, half dragon," replied Issei with a grin of pride. Everyone looked at Issei with shock, awe and caution. "You're a devil? What household are you from?" asked Riaz curiously. "One of the old households extinguished from the last Great War, the Hyoudou household. The very same one that killed Jesus Christ," replied Issei as he stood up and revealed his 10 devil wings. Then uttered Riaz with fear, the other devils were also affected by this massive power. Seeing their reactions, Issei smirked as he retracted his wings. "I believe that's all I will answer for now, I must be going," stated Issei as he left the room of shocked devils. Underworld. Sirzichez was drinking some coffee as he was going through some reports. Until he heard somebody knock at his door. "Come in," said Sirzichez as he allowed the visitor to enter. "Sirzich-sama. I have urgent news," stated the soldier that entered the office. What is it?" asked Sirzichez slightly interested. "We have received confirmation of Issei Hyoudou's origins, he is indeed a member of the original bloodline," reported the soldier. Sirzichez nearly spilled his coffee at the report, he then fixed himself and smiled. "It seems that Serafel will be getting a new bodyguard after all," muttered Sirzichez happily as a small magic circle appeared on his right ear. Issei was walking back home as it was actually pretty late already. But as Issei was walking back, he noticed a few supernatural auras at the church nearby. He could feel the auras of devils and fallen angels. "Ah, so Riaz has made a move on the rogue fallen angels," thought Issei as he continued to walk home. "You know, IsseixKaterea is going to kill you for all of the things you've revealed today," stated Drag honestly. "Why do you say that?" asked Issei in his head. "Your arrogance has gotten the best of you once again. You not only revealed that you were part of the Hyoudou household, but also that you were an ultimate class devil," scolded Drag. Issei pouted at this. "Hey. I didn't think it would do any harm, I mean, so what if they know I'm an ultimate class?" argued Issei in his thoughts. She probably sent a report over to her brother, Sirzichez Lucifer. "Either they try and do something with you for the benefit of the devil race or they erase you," replied Drake sounding irritated. "Let them try, I almost beat Office once. No ordinary devils can defeat me," thought Issei as he arrived at his home. The next day. Issei was at school, looking outside the window of his classroom. He was utterly bored until he was called by someone who entered his classroom. "I'm looking for Issei Hyoudou," stated a young man who was also known as Genshiro Saji. "Ah, Mr. Hyoudou, please follow Mr. Saji here," said the teacher. Issei sighed as he nodded and followed the young devil. "He's the wielder of Vritra, isn't he?" asked Issei in his head. "Indeed, but it seems he isn't awakening due to the fact that he was split into multiple sacred gears," replied Dreg. Issei then noticed that he had arrived at the door to the student council office. "We're here," said Saji as he opened the door. Saji and Issei stepped inside to see the student council president, Sona Shitori. "Ah, thank you for bringing him here, Saji." "Thanks, Sona," as Saji nodded and sat down on one of the couches. "Please, take a seat," offered Sona to Issei Hyoudou. Issei nodded as he accepted the offer. "Issei Hyoudou, I heard from Riaz that you were a member of the Hyoudou household which killed Jesus Christ, is that correct?" asked Sona curiously. "Indeed it is there a problem with that?" replied Issei as he asked a question. Not at all, in fact that is the reason you were brought here. To fulfill your duty as a member of the Hyoudou household. Replied Sona as she stared directly at Issei. This confused Issei as he never really had any duty. What duty? Asked Issei curiously. Sona was about to reply until a female with some magical girl costume appeared from a magic circle. Your duty to loyally serve the Leviathan of course. Answered Seraphol Leviathan, one of the current Maus. Issei looked at the newly arrived Mau. Seraphol Leviathan, formerly known as Seraphol Citri. Issei definitely did not see the current situation he was in amusing. As your master, I will be assigning you to be my personal bodyguard. Stated Seraphol with a cheerful face. Issei narrowed his eyes as she said this. Bodyguard. Repeated Issei with a serious tone. Your family served the Leviathan loyally, so naturally I will be able to command you like this freely. Explained Seraphol, slightly confused as to how he didn't already know this. Ha 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 ha. Laughed Issei as he heard the Mau's explanation. Causing the other devils in the room to look at him suspiciously. While it is true that as a member of the Hyoudou household, I am bound by tradition to serve any current Leviathan. Mentioned Issei, causing Seraphol Leviathan to smile. But uttered Issei. We serve those who bear the name Leviathan, not the title. Added Issei, shocking Seraphol and Sona. Then why are you not serving the actual Leviathan right now? Asked Sona confused. Because I am not aware of her location and I will not look for her. If a Leviathan requires the services of a member of the Hyoudou household, they must claim said Hyoudou for themselves. Replied Issei as he crossed his arms. Partner, what are you doing? Asked Drake cautiously. Huh? What do you mean? Asked Issei in his thoughts. Accept this Leviathan as your master, you do want to see your beloved again don't you? Asked Drake, trying to convince Issei. What does she have to do with serving Seraphol Leviathan? Asked Issei confused. If word spreads that a member of the Hyoudou household has returned to serve Seraphol Leviathan, she will most certainly hear of it. This is your only hope of ever serving the true Leviathan once again. Replied Drake, shocking Issei as what the Welsh dragon stated was indeed true. I have to make it convincing though. Thought Issei as he sighed. But you know what? I'll give you a chance. Said Issei out of nowhere. Seraphol and the rest of the devils looked at him confused. Prove to me that you deserve the title of Leviathan, then I will serve you. Offered Issei with a grin. Seraphol smiled and immediately nodded, surprising Sona. Ni sama. He might be up to something. Warned Sona cautiously. It's fine so Tan. If I can get the services of a Hyoudou, it will help us devils a lot you know. Reassured Seraphol as she prepared a magic circle, which Issei gladly entered with the Mau. Underworld. Seraphol and Issei had been teleported to an arena of some sort. The raiding game arena. Thought Issei as he looked around his environment. Well, Issei-chan. Today I will show you the true power of the current Leviathan. Leviathan. Announced Seraphol as she sparkled with her magical staff. Well then, show me what you've got. Said Issei as he sent some magical power to his fists. Issei narrowed his eyes as he soon found that a wave of ice was coming his way fast. Issei launched himself upwards and summoned multiple magic circles which released blasts of energy that had the form of serpents by the looks of it. Seraphol created a wall of ice which shielded her from the blasts of energy. She then created multiple ice shards which quickly moved towards Issei. Issei created a magic circle which served as a shield which protected him from the Mau's attack. As his magic circle broke he dashed towards Seraphol and hit her with a magic-enhanced uppercut. As she staggered upwards Issei grabbed one of her legs and threw her down onto the ground. Ow. That hurt, Issei-chan. Complained Seraphol as she got up from the rubble, her magical girl clothes damaged and her skin looking a bit dirty. She then created a magic circle which released a massive blast of ice, which had the form of a serpent. Issei couldn't dodge fast enough and was consumed by the ice attack. As the serpent dissipated, Issei was seen floating in the sky frozen. Seraphol was about to celebrate until the ice covering Issei began cracking. Seraphol's eyes widened as Issei broke out of the ice and descended down onto the ground. You're good, consider my services yours. Stated Issei as he bowed his head down. Seeing this Seraphol smiled and teleported in front of Issei and hugged him. Thank you Issei-chan. Thanks Seraphol as Issei was soon attacked by her breasts. Well I don't have any problems with this current position thought Issei as he blushed. You only use 25% of your natural strength, she would have lost if you used 15% more you know. Stated Drake as Issei and Seraphol broke off from their position and Seraphol began creating a magic circle. Yeah, but like you said. This might be the only way I could reunite with her said Issei in his thoughts as he entered the magic circle with Seraphol. And besides, I need something to do added Issei as he shrugged. The next day, student council office. Sona was sitting in her office, playing chess with Tsubaki Shinra. Oh, checkmate. Stated Sona as she grinned slightly at her victory. As always, you are a god of chess, said Tsubaki as she sighed and started fixing the chessboard in pieces. A magic circle appeared, getting the attention of all the devils in the office. Sona and Tsubaki compassed themselves as it seems that they had a visitor. It's so good to see you again, So-tan. Greeted Serafal as she hugged Sona tightly. Ni-sama. Uttered Sona as she was being hugged by her sister, Amau. Why are you here? Asked Sona as Serafal finally let her go. The magic circle that Serafal came in through then lit up as another person was coming through. I wanted to properly introduce you to someone. Stated Serafal as her magic circle dissipated, revealing Issei Hyoudou. That's Issei Hyoudou, uttered Saji with surprise. Issei turned to look at the low-class devil. Nothing really changed, except for my attire. Stated Issei as he shrugged and turned to face Sona. Sona and the rest of her peerage was shocked to see Issei with the attire of Amau. He had black robe with a collar unfolded, black knee pads and arm bonds with streaks of water flowing throughout Issei's form. Meet Issei Hyoudou. My personal bodyguard. Introduced Serafal happily as she started wiggling like a child. I have also been assigned to look after you while I have no current tasks from my master, Sona Sitri. Added Issei as he crossed his arms. Ni-sama. Why would you make him your bodyguard but make him look after me? Asked Sona slightly irritated and confused. Because nothing much is going on down in the underworld right now. If I have to attend big events, I will definitely bring Issei-chan with me. Replied Serafal like a child. Oops. I have to go now. Stated Serafal as a beeping sound was heard from her staff. She soon created a magic circle and left to go to the underworld. Sona sighed loudly as she then sat back down on her chair. Haichu? Surely this guy can't just stay here and watch over you. Said Saji as he pointed at Issei. I'm afraid that we need to allow him to do so, it is Ni-sama's orders after all. Replied Sona as she looked at Issei Hyoudou who looked like he was talking to someone else. Sona ignored it and looked behind Issei. She found some of her servants looking at Issei with hearts in their eyes. Sona sighed as she continued to do her work as the student council president. However, she was surprised to see that Riaz had invited her to come to the occult research clubroom. There must have been something going on. Occult research club. Riaz was sitting on her chair, her servants currently sitting down on the couches, and an unfamiliar woman with a maid's clothing. Riaz-sama, why did you invite Sona Sitri here? Asked the maid. Sona is my best friend, I'm sure she will be able to help in some way. Do you perhaps doubt my choice of friendship, Grafia? Replied Riaz as she crossed her arms. My apologies. Apologized Grafia as she bowed her head down. The doors to the occult research club then opened, revealing Sona Sitri, her queen and a man that every devil in the room knew all too well, Issei Hyoudou. Thank you for coming, Sona. Thanked Riaz as she then looked up to see her best friend, Sona Sitri. However, she then looked to Sona's right side to see a familiar face. Issei Hyoudou, uttered Riaz as she and her servants were shocked to see the powerful devil. Issei didn't reply as he simply bowed his head down. Sona sighed at her sister's bodyguard and decided she would explain. My sister, Katerea Leviathan, has assigned her personal bodyguard to observe me and protect me from any possible danger. Explained Sona as she fixated her glasses. Riaz and her peerage was confused but were disrupted from their thoughts as a flaming magic circle appeared. He next muttered Kiba as he and his comrades stood up. Issei and Sona stared at the magic circle with curiosity. Phoenix, so that's why she invited me, well, as her best friend, I won't let her face this alone. Thought Sona determined. It's been a long time since Riser has been to the human realm. Stated Riser Phoenix as he smelled the air around him. My dear Riaz. Riser has come all this way to see you, let us catch up. Said Riser as he approached Riaz and sat down on the couch with her. Riaz was clearly not excited to see Riser, in fact she was disgusted. Akeno began serving them tea as Riser was touching Riaz's body slowly and softly. My Riaz queen's tea is wonderful. Complimented Riser as he drank Akeno's tea. Thank you for the compliment, sir, thanked Akeno, but it was clear it was an act. Riser Phoenix, a proud pure-blooded devil. If I were to take a guess, he and Riaz are engaged. Thought Issei as he watched Riser and Riaz on the couch. He looked to his right to see Sona and Tsubaki with their usual apathetic faces, but he could sense an aura of anger present within them both. That's enough, Riser. Let it go, why don't you understand? I have no intention of ever marrying you. Stated Riaz as she stood up. But my darling, Riser believes your family's circumstances are still such that you cannot afford to be so selfish. Mentioned Riser as he shrugged. I will not bring my family to ruin. I have no intention of denying you your right to our name, however let me be clear that my husband will be my choice. Said Riaz dominantly. Remember, it's imperative for devils to remain pure blood. We're still recovering our numbers from the last great war. Both your father and Serziches decided on this arrangement with the future of devils in mind. Stated Riser truthfully. My father, my brother and my whole clan made this decision because they are in too great a rush for the final time riser. I will not marry you," stated Riaz as she increased her volume. "For the final time, Riaz. Riser bears the reputation of the House of Phoenix, besmirching our good name is unacceptable," stated Riser as he grabbed Riaz's chin with force. "Hey," warned Kiba as he and the rest of Riaz's peerage prepared to fight. "Riser doesn't care if he has to incinerate everyone in this room. You will return to the underworld with me," stated Riser as his eyes glowed orange. Riaz responded by releasing some of her power of destruction, causing her eyes to glow red. "There is no need for incineration," said Grafia, getting the two devils to stop. "Riaz-sama, Riser-sama. As you know, I am here by order of Sirzches, which means there will be no disruption of peace," stated Grafia with higher tone. Untold such an ominous thing by the one known as the ultimate queen, even Riser can begin to become somewhat fearful, said Riser as he shrugged. "My master anticipated that there would be a conflict of some sort, as such he has assigned me a last resort should communication break down," stated Grafia. "Yes, of course he did, would you care to be a little more specific?" asked Riaz impatiently. "If my lady insists on putting her personal preferences above those of her family, she is to settle this via rating game with Riser-sama," replied Grafia, shocking Riaz. "Riser has played through numerous rating games and has scored several wins for himself," stated Riser boastfully. "Unfortunately, my inexperienced bride has never even qualified for a rating game," added Riser mockingly, irritating Riaz. "Pretty arrogant, he knows only mature devils are allowed to participate," thought Issei as he sighed. "Riaz, I have to ask. Is this adorable group the extent of your servants? They're all you have?" asked Riser curiously. "And so what if they are?" asked Riaz irritated. "Ha ha ha," laughed Riser as he proceeded to snap his fingers. As he did so, a massive magic circle appeared and burst into flames, revealing his peerage. "Riser has 15 pieces, in other words, I have a complete set," stated Riser. 15, and they're all hot as hell. I could take some of them for myself, thought Issei somewhat jokingly. "Are you gonna start stealing other men's properties now, partner?" asked Drake as he then laughed. "I was just joking," stated Issei in his thoughts. Riser smirked as Riaz looked slightly doubtful that she could win the match if she accepted. Sona had enough of Riser's arrogance and decided to speak up for her friend. "Quality beats quantity, Riser. You may have more pieces than Riaz overall, but her servants are much more capable than your harem," spoke Sona as she got the attention of everyone in the clubroom. "Speak when you are spoken to, Citri. I will not tolerate any more disrespect from lower beings," scoffed Riser with an arrogant face. This triggered Sona even further than even she had calculated. "You're acting pretty confident, Riser. But we all know that you're just an insecure immortal bird," antagonized Sona. This sentence frustrated Riser as he engulfed his fist with fire and aimed it at Sona until his hand was suddenly grabbed by someone else. "Sorry, but I'm afraid that this girl is under my protection," stated Issei as he tightened his grip on Riser's arm. Riser tried to break free from Issei's grip, but to no avail. "You dare touch me, you low-class brat?" asked Riser angrily as he was trying to free his arm. Issei sneered, much to Riser's disdain. "Issei-sama, please let go of Riser-sama," requested Grafia respectfully. Issei sighed as he granted her request and let go of Riser. "Who do you think you are?" demanded Riser as he regained his footing and prepared to attack with his flames. "That is Issei Hyoudou, member of the legendary Hyoudou household, the very same one that caused the death of Jesus Christ," answered Grafia, shocking Riser and Riaz, along with their respective peerages. "What is he doing here?" asked Ravel Phoenix, Riser's sister, curiously. "The Mayu, Katerea Leviathan had ordered him to watch over her sister," replied Grafia. "So he is a servant of the Mayu?" asked Ravel. "No, he is her personal bodyguard," replied Grafia, answering the young Phoenix's question once again. "The bodyguard of a Mayu," uttered Riser shocked. "One being must be really powerful to become the bodyguard of a Mayu. That explains why Issei has had such a calm atmosphere around him this entire time. Last time we met he was as arrogant as Riser," mentioned Kiba as he chuckled. Issei flinched at this, but decided to keep calm. "Perhaps you should get back to your original topic," said Issei as he returned to Sona's side. Sona had a small smirk of victory. She was a little happy that her sister decided to assign Issei to her. "Sona defended me, I can't back down now," thought Riaz determined. "Grafia, tell my brother I agree to the rating game," agreed Riaz with confidence. "I will inform him immediately," stated Grafia. "Ahahaha," laughed Riser as he returned to his peerage's side. "Believe me when I say this, we will annihilate you," announced Riaz confidently. "I look forward to it, dear," said Riser honestly as he and his peerage disappeared in a blaze of fire. "Riaz, I wish you good luck. I must return to my duties now," said Sona as she exited the clubroom with Issei and Tsubaki. Thank you Sona. Thanked Riaz before they left the clubroom. After assuring that Sona Sitri was safely escorted back to her apartment, Issei decided to return to his home as well, bracing himself for whatever his sister had in store for him today. As Issei opened the door to his house and entered, he found his sister watching TV eating some potato chips. IsseixKaterea heard someone enter the house and looked at Issei's direction. As she saw him, she simply pouted and continued watching TV. Issei sighed as his sister was still angry that he decided to serve a Leviathan again. She never followed the traditions of their family and even went as far as to despise the Leviathans. Issei went to the kitchen to see that there was no food prepared for him. He groaned in frustration as he was really hungry. Can you at least find the time to cook something for your little brother? Asked Issei, irritated. IsseixKaterea looked at him with an irritated face as well. It's your fault for following the traditions of our dead family. You don't have to serve the Leviathan, argued IsseixKaterea. Issei was about to say something until a small magic circle appeared on his right ear. Issei-chan. Can you go to Ajuka-chan's office in the underworld, pretty please? Thanks. Said Serafal before hanging up on the call. Issei sighed as he created a magic circle and simply left his sister in the house alone without saying goodbye. IsseixKaterea sighed as she tried to ignore it and simply watch TV again, but deep down she wanted things to go back to normal, with no Leviathans in her and Issei's lives. Underworld. Issei had teleported just outside the door to Ajuka Beelzebub's office, although he was not aware of the reason as to why he was called here all of a sudden. Issei knocked and entered the office. He found Serafal Leviathan holding a chess piece and Ajuka Beelzebub enhancing a few chess pieces. I have arrived, Serafal-sama. Greeted Issei as he bowed down. Serafal simply smiled and threw the chess piece she was holding to him. Issei caught it with ease and looked at it. It was a king. This only meant one thing to Issei. They were giving him his own evil pieces. A king. Does this mean? Asked Issei curiously. Yep. You're going to be having your own peerage. We can't have an ultimate class devil have no servants. Replied Serafal cheerfully. Here you go, these evil pieces have been specially enhanced by me, so they should be able to make even Dragon King level beings become one of your servants. Said Ajuka as he handed Issei the rest of his evil pieces. Issei had gladly accepted the pieces, and the king piece suddenly glowed blue and manifested into Issei. They glowed blue? Is that supposed to happen, Ajuka-chan? Asked Serafal curiously. No, perhaps it is because of the Leviathan's influence on you, theorized Ajuka, interested. No matter, they should still work as intended. Reassured Ajuka with a smile. Well, Issei-chan. Do you have anybody you want to make your servant right now? Asked Serafal. Issei thought for a moment but shook his head. No, I will need to find powerful warriors myself, but I do plan on having a full set in the future. Replied Issei as he closed his fist. That's good, well we're pretty much done now. Unless you have some other business with Serafal. Asked Ajuka. Issei shook his head and simply said goodbye and left. With evil pieces, he would now be able to have his own peerage. But he certainly already had a few candidates in mind. Familiar forest. Well, since I have nothing to do I might as well get myself a servant or two, thought Issei as he explored the vast forest. Don't tell me you're planning on reincarnating her? Asked Drake, slightly worried. Well, judging by the direction we're going, we're definitely reincarnating her. Replied Issei in his thoughts. You fool, she hates me. What do you think she'll do when she finds out that you're the Red Dragon Emperor? Argued Drake. Don't worry, if that happens I guess I'll just beat her into submission. Reassured Issei with a grin. What piece do you plan to use on her anyway? Asked Drake curiously. Rook if possible. Replied Issei in his thoughts. A rook? Someone of her class can only accept a queen piece. Stated Drake. Usually that would be true, but in the case of someone as strong as me, it isn't necessary to give her the queen piece. Said Issei in his thoughts. Issei had soon arrived at a cave. The area was completely quiet. But Issei would soon disrupt the quiet sensation of the place. Issei quickly raised his aura, getting a growl from inside the cave. Soon enough, loud footsteps could be heard. Something was coming out of the cave. She's coming. Thought Issei as he cracked his knuckles. And a few moments later, the creature was now visible to the outside world. The massive blue western dragon had appeared and roared loudly at Issei. Issei grinned as the dragon seemed to be beepizing him, or perhaps it was something else. "DDRAIG," roared the blue dragon. It's been a while," Tiamat greeted Drake, hoping to calm the mood. "I'm surprised you still have the balls to face me. Your partner is very unlucky," said Tiamat as she tried to squish Issei with her foot, however Issei dodged it with ease. "I didn't come here to fight," said Issei as he was levitating in the air. "Ho? Then why did you come here, wielder of Drake?" asked Tiamat, confused. "I merely wished to make you my servant by reincarnating you into a devil," replied Issei boldly. "You idiot," insulted Drake as Tiamat roared loudly and charged towards Issei. Boost. Announced the boosted gear as Issei dodged Tiamat's advance. The Western Dragon unleashed her flames at Issei, but Issei was able to create a massive magic circle to block it. Issei had released his devil wings to be able to fly faster. His wings got the attention of Tiamat. An ultimate class devil that wields drag. You are powerful, I'll give you that at least. Complimented Tiamat as she then unleashed even more intense flames. Thanks, but I think we've caused enough commotion here. Said Issei as he unleashed a jet of water towards Tiamat, which knocked her down to the ground below. Issei quickly descended and unleashed a barrage of water spears towards Tiamat. He could hear the Dragon King's roars of pain. A few moments later, the Dragon King weakly walked out of the crater that had been formed as she crashed to the ground. But to Issei's surprise, Tiamat was now in her humanoid form. She appeared to have long beautiful pale blue hair and a cold atmosphere radiating around her body. I yield. Surrendered Tiamat as she struggled to keep her balance. Issei had a grin of victory and approached Tiamat. She blushed as he got really close to her face. Issei quickly healed her and gave her some clothes. Thank you, thanked Tiamat as she fixed herself and stared at Issei. Do you plan to reincarnate me to a devil? Asked Tiamat. Issei nodded positively. You don't mind, right? I mean, Tannen became a devil too. Said Issei as he revealed his rook piece to her. Don't worry, as your king I will defend you with my life. I won't let anything nor anyone harm you as long as I am alive. Reassured Issei, getting Tiamat to smile. Well, if you put it like that it makes me want to claim you. Teased Tiamat, getting Issei to blush slightly. Tiamat laughed as she then gestured for Issei to give her the rook piece. Issei nodded as he went through the procedures necessary to make someone your servant. And to Drake's surprise, the rook piece worked on Tiamat. A rook, huh? I guess I can live up to that title. Said Tiamat as she approached Issei and kissed him on the cheek, much to his and Drake's shock. You smell and taste manlier than Drake ever did. Stated Tiamat, insulting Drake. What? Was all Drake could utter. Issei laughed and rolled on the ground at the revelation of Drake's manliness. Well, that's one rook, next is a knight, thought Issei as he teleported back home with Tiamat at his side. As Issei arrived at his home, he spotted his sister meditating with a bunch of swords rotating around her levitating form. Best not disturb her, let's go. Said Issei as he went upstairs with Tiamat following him. Inside his room, he made a few plans and wrote the names of possible candidates for his peerage. He was much like Riser Phoenix, he wanted a full female peerage. But Issei was not completely against the idea of having a male in his peerage, as long as he was worthy of one of his evil pieces. His next target was his very own sister. He wanted to convince her to become his knight. Although, due to their current situation, that would be very difficult. Although, he wouldn't be the only one with sister problems. Underworld. I don't know what to choose. Complained Seraphil as she held two different colored outfits with her hands. I love the pink one, but I also don't want to get rid of the blue one. Added Seraphil, conflicted. One-sama, are you serious about all this? Asked Sona, clearly uninterested in her sister's outfits. Of course I am serious. This will be something special for my TV show. That's why I asked for a quick break. Replied Seraphil as she did a couple of poses. This happens because everyone encourages her, muttered Sona as she sighed. Nina, so tan. Why don't you try this one on? Suggested Seraphil with a cheerful smile. Excuse me? Uttered Sona, confused. It's a lot easier for me to visualize how it looks if I see it on another person, pretty please. Asked Seraphil. I refuse to do so, stated Sona. Slowly, Seraphil began to cry and roll on the floor. If you don't, I'll quit my job of being a Mau. I'll never join again. Threatened Seraphil, still rolling on the floor. You're wrong if you think you're going to convince me like that. Said Sona with her arms crossed. Alright then, I'll destroy every angel and fallen angel. Shouted Seraphil as she started spinning both of the outfits. Fine, I'll try it on. Agreed Sona as she was getting annoyed. What am I doing, thought Sona as she exited the dressing room with the blue outfit on. Seraphil gasped in awe and immediately beepized Sona in all angles. I think the pink one would fit me better, I'll go with pink. Decided Seraphil as she headed to the dressing room. I feel dirty, thought Sona as she then tried to remove the outfit. Oh, I can't take it off. Muttered Sona. One-sama, this attire. Called Sona, confused. These outfits are specifically designed not to be taken off, only I know how. Stated Seraphil as she put on the pink outfit. Tell me how to do it then. Demanded Sona impatiently. Seraphil giggled as she exited the dressing room. Look closely. Said Seraphil. Look. 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 I'll eliminate evil with my desire of becoming a star. Said Seraphil cutely as she did a few poses. So it was a trap all this time, One-sama. Uttered Sona, scared. Come on, do it fast. Said Seraphil, excited. Look, I'll eliminate evil with my desire of becoming a star, chanted Sona emotionlessly. You're doing it wrong, so tan. If you don't do it in a cute way, then the spell won't break. Stated Seraphol. A cute way, repeated Sona, embarrassed. I'll do it with you this time, nah. Suggested Seraphol cutely. Fine, agreed Sona hesitantly. Look. With the magic of the stars we shall eliminate all evil. Mo. Chanted Seraphol along with Sona. And much to Sona's relief, the outfit came off. IsseixKaterea was cooking her brother's favorite, tempura. This should fix my relationship with him, thought IsseixKaterea as she finished frying the 30th tempura. She smiled happily as she heard footsteps coming from the staircase. Issei was coming down. Issei had arrived at the kitchen, surprised to see that his sister had actually prepared some food for him. Sit down and eat, said IsseixKaterea as she sat down on the table. Issei nodded and sat down as well. So what's the occasion? Asked Issei as he took a piece of tempura and ate it. I wanted to apologize, replied IsseixKaterea with a blush. Why? Asked Issei, confused as to why she would throw away her pride like that. Throwing away my pride for a day is better than ruining my relationship with you forever, replied IsseixKaterea as she too ate some tempura. Will you forgive me? Asked IsseixKaterea as she unleashed her powerful puppy eyes. Damn, thought Issei as he looked directly at IsseixKaterea's eyes. Alright. Fine. Forgave Issei as he could not resist the power of his sister's puppy eyes. IsseixKaterea giggled cutely as she thanked him. Well, anyway, I have something to ask you. Brought up Issei with a serious face. IsseixKaterea looked at Issei curiously. What is it? Asked IsseixKaterea. I already have my evil pieces and I would like you to become my knight. Offered Issei as he stood up and showed her his knight piece. IsseixKaterea was shocked to say the least, but she smiled at her brother's offer. Sure, but shouldn't you be saving your pieces for your harem? Teased IsseixKaterea as she took the knight piece from Issei. Issei laughed as he shook his head. No, I can't think of anyone else worthy of becoming my knight right now, so IsseixKaterea, Hyoudou, will you become my knight? Asked Issei with honor. IsseixKaterea smiled as she stood up and accepted the evil piece. Soon the knight piece manifested into her after the proper process was complete. That makes two, thought Issei with a smirk. Student council office, 10 days later. It seems the raiding game is starting, said Tsubaki as Ria's Gremory and Riser Phoenix had started their raiding game. I only hope that Ria's trained enough to stand a chance at defeating Riser. Added Sona Citri, rooting for her best friend. Riser Phoenix's peerage is rather good, perhaps I can recruit some of them into my own peerage, thought Issei, devising a plan. Do you plan to use your peerage on your fight with the White One? Asked Drake. Of course not, I am merely gathering my harem. Replied Issei as perverted thoughts entered his mind. Of course you are, muttered Drake as he sighed. It seems Ria's is setting up some traps. Said Sona as she continued to watch the game. Smart, considering how outnumbered they are. Added Tsubaki with her arms crossed. Hey, are you watching the game as well? We should work together on our little recon for cute girls. Said Issei in his thoughts. Oh, I am watching. Don't worry, I've got your back, partner. Stated Drake with a thumbs up. I'm Shulin, Phoenix Rook. Introduced the Rook with a look, a well-endowed young woman of Chinese descent with shoulder-length black hair and blue-green eyes. That one seems interesting, watch her, Drake. Said Issei in his thoughts. Already on it, partner. Stated Drake. As Drake was watching the fight in the gym, Issei turned his attention to the 3 pawns who were approaching the trap set by Ria's team. Damn, this fog is so thick we won't be able to see anything, mentioned the red-haired pawn before the 3 dodged one of the traps set there. A trap? Did they really think something that lame would work? Asked the other pawn with tanned skin condescendingly. The Gremory family is dumber than I thought. Insulted the red-haired pawn. A cute trick from a raiding game virgin. Added the other pawn with a cute voice, brown hair and eyes, wearing a maid's attire. That one is cute, so that's 2 candidates, thought Issei perversely. The fight with the Rook named Shulin is decent to say the least, but she appears to be losing to Ria's Gremory's Rook, Kaneko Taoju, also known as Shirin, to your sex friend Kuroka. Informed Drake. Ah, you're right, it seems that she has been pinned down by Kaneko, however, I didn't notice those girls with her up until now. Thought Issei, confused at the sudden appearance of 2 new faces. Wait. Those are Kadis and Murayama from my class. Recognized Issei, shocked as his classmate's sudden transformation. Gremory must have reincarnated those 2 during the 10 days she was given to train, either she needed more pieces or simply found potential within those 2. Theorized Drake. Issei nodded in agreement as he then watched the gym get blown up by Akeno Himejima. I must say I'm impressed, Ria's used an important strategic position to lure them into a trap and then blew it sky high. It was a bold move. Praised Sona. You're right, although now Riser has no choice but to unleash everything. Added Tsubaki. True, this battle has just begun. Agreed Sona. Well, that Shulin girl still has potential, so even though she lost I will still consider her a candidate. Thought Issei as he and Drake turned their attention to the other screen with the pawns of Riser. Do you think the Gremories really believe these stupid traps are going to slow us down at all? Asked a brown-haired pawn. That's their home base, isn't it? Asked a red-haired pawn as she pointed at the old school building ahead of them. However, the three were shocked when the building disappeared. What is this? Asked a brown-haired pawn. Hello ladies, you girls looking for some company? Because if you're feeling lonely this evening I might be the man for you. Teased Kiba as he held the hilt of his sword. What is the brown-haired girl's name? I don't want to forget because she is clearly going to lose her fight with Kiba. Asked Issei in his thoughts. I believe it was Marion, or at least that's what I heard from Riser's queen. Replied Drake. Issei nodded at this and turned his attention back to Kaneko, Katis and Murayama. Kaneko-chan weighed up. Called Katis as she and Murayama started to follow Kaneko, but to their surprise Kaneko was caught in an explosion. Ah, the bomb queen. Gonna need to make her a candidate as well. Thought Issei, to which Drake agreed. Kaneko-chan. We're coming. Shouted Murayama as she and Katis ran towards Kaneko's unconscious body. As they arrived, Kaneko was transported to the healing room. Watching Kaneko lose, Issei was reminded of something Kuroka once told him about her sister. Shirin would be kicking more ass if she accepted her true powers, mentioned Kuroka in Issei's thoughts. So she refuses to use her true power, most likely due to the tragedy she faced during childhood. Said Drake, gaining a nod from Issei. It seems that Akeno will be taking on Yubaluna, that should be a good fight. Said Sona interested. Drake, watch the queen. I'll be watching the other girls that just came out. Said Issei in his thoughts as he turned to watch the other screen where Kiba and the two pawns were getting ready to fight the remaining servants of Riser. I am Carloman, a knight in the service of Riser-sama. To be perfectly honest, requesting to be attacked by us makes me question your sanity. Although far be it for me to refuse the reckoning of a bunch of idiots. Introduced Carloman as she began clashing swords with Kiba Hyoudou. Definitely a possibility, although she might be a tad bit too honorable, I doubt she would leave Riser to join me. Thought Issei as he turned his attention the rook who was about to fight Katis and Murayama. My name is Isabella and I'm a rook in the service of Honorable Riser Phoenix, prepare yourselves to fight pawns of Ria's Gremory. Introduced Isabella as she began throwing punches at Katis and Murayama. That one has a nice body, I'll consider her, thought Issei as he watched the fight. That other knight looks hot as well, will you consider her? Asked Drake as he got Issei to look at the other knight, Cirrus. Ahaha, yeah, she could definitely become a candidate, but I just realized something, thought Issei. What is it, partner? Asked Drake curiously. How the hell are we going to get Riser to trade them with us? Asked Issei as he scratched his head. Are you serious? Asked Drake as he sighed. After a few minutes, only Riaz and Asia remained, while Riser still had his queen and his bishop who was also his sister, Ravel Phoenix. Yeah, this is over, thought Issei. Are you going to make your move now? Asked Drake curiously. No, we will wait for the ceremony. I am pretty sure that Surziches will ask for a favor indirectly. Replied Issei in his thoughts as he watched Riaz cry and resign from the raiding game. So she lost, muttered Sona, slightly disappointed that her best friend lost. Don't worry, this isn't over. I'm sure that her servants will try to free Riaz from this engagement. Reassured Tsubaki, making Sona smile. Yes, I'm sure they will. Agreed Sona. The day of the engagement party. Issei lied down on his bed, bored. Weird, I was sure that they would come to me for help. Thought Issei as he sighed. Perhaps you overestimated the devil's need for assistance. Theorized Drake. Issei bit his lower lip, hoping that Drake was wrong as he needed more members for his harem and peerage. But much to Issei's joy, a magic circle appeared in his room. As the light died down, the ultimate queen, Grafia, was revealed. Greetings, Issei-sama. Greeted Grafia as she bowed her head down in respect. Grafia? What are you doing here? Asked Issei curiously. I have a request from Surziches Lucifer, this request is supported by Seraphol Leviathan as well. Replied Grafia. What exactly would the Mau want from me? Asked Issei interested. You know of the engagement between Riser Phoenix and Ria's Gremory, do you not? Asked Grafia. Issei nodded positively. The engagement party is today and my master would like it if you were to crash said party. Added Grafia. Issei grinned after hearing this. What's in it for me? Asked Issei as he crossed his arms. You will receive anything you desire as a reward, as long as it is within Surzich's power and authority. Replied Grafia, getting Issei to decide. Very well, you have my services. Accepted Issei with a genuine smile. Grafia smiled and nodded as she gave him a paper to transport him to the engagement party. I will be taking my leave now, thank you for accepting. Thanked Grafia as she returned to the engagement party. Well, what did I say? Thought Issei with a smirk as he heard Drake grumble. Issei then put on his black robes and the rest of his attire, he had a party to crash. Engagement party. And now I present to you my bride. Ria's Gremory. introduced Riser as Riaz appeared through a magic circle. Everyone was shocked however when the doors were kicked open. "Is that Issei Hyoudou?" said Riaz in shock. "You? Who do you think you are?" demanded Riser, furious at the sudden intrusion. "I am Issei Hyoudou, the last son of the Hyoudou household," replied Issei as he began to approach Riser Phoenix. As Issei announced this, all of the high-class and ultimate-class devils began whispering to each other. "DCH. Seize him," ordered Riser as a few devil guards surrounded Issei. Issei smirked as he simply flared his aura and caused the guards to fall to their knees. "What is this power?" muttered one of the guards before he passed out. "Riser, is this your doing?" asked one of the guests with suspicion. "It's a little something I set up, Riser has nothing to do with this intrusion," answered IsseixH's Lucifer as he had just arrived at the engagement hall. "It's Lucifer-sama," uttered one of the guests. "IsseixH's, what is the meaning of this?" asked one of the guests confused. "I thought this party could use a little flair, after all we don't get a celebration like this very often. So I invited Issei Hyoudou," replied IsseixH's with a smile as he then looked at Issei who was simply waiting there with his arms crossed. "So you're saying you want to fight?" asked Riser as he beepized the situation. "You catch on quickly, Riser." "Indeed, a fight between Phoenix and Leviathan," replied IsseixH's honestly. This shocked everyone, not because of the fight that IsseixH's wanted, but because of the revelation that Issei Hyoudou was a Leviathan. "Wait, this Issei Hyoudou is a Leviathan?" asked one of the guests with shock. "No, my family simply served the Leviathan line loyally and naturally we have inherited their abilities as time passed by. So I may have the powers of Leviathan, but I do not belong to their bloodline," answered Issei, clearing up the confusion. "Now, do you accept the challenge, Riser Phoenix?" asked IsseixH's with a smile. "Of course IsseixSama. I will prove to you that Riser is the perfect husband for your sister," replied Riser, making Riaz flinch. "Now, what do you want as your reward? Money, power, woman? Ask and if you win then you shall receive," asked IsseixH's. Issei grinned as he then raised his right arm towards exactly what he wanted. "There are two things I want. One is for Riaz Gremory's engagement between Riser Phoenix to be terminated," replied Issei, getting IsseixH's to smile. "And two. I want to trade for a few pieces belonging to Riser Phoenix's peerage," added Issei, shocking Riser and his peerage. "What? Absurd," said Riser angrily. "Very well, let us begin the battle then," accepted IsseixH's. "What? IsseixSama. You cannot just give Riser's pieces to him," argued Riser. "You have accepted the challenge, therefore it would be disgraceful to your family's name if you were to back out now. Perhaps you lack the confidence that you can beat this man?" asked IsseixH's with a victorious grin. "No, Riser never lacks confidence." "Very well, let us begin this little skirmish," replied Riser with a smirk of confidence, although his confidence has been misplaced. As they began, Riser and Issei were teleported to a raiding game arena. The battle was going to begin. "I will show you how powerful the flames of the House of Phoenix is," announced Riser as he threw multiple fireballs at Issei, but Issei simply released a jet of water to extinguish his flames. Issei then created multiple magic circles which released powerful energy beams. Riser was hit and was sent crashing towards one of the structures of the arena. "Why you?" uttered Riser, irritated as he shouted and unleashed a wave of fire towards Issei. "Sorry, but I want to make this quick," said Issei as he grabbed the wave of fire, shocking everyone. "Let me show you how true fire is made," announced Issei as the wave of fire that Issei held began glowing and increased in size and temperature. "Riser Phoenix, not even you can withstand the heat produced by the hellfire from the netherworld," stated Issei as he teleported in front of Riser who was in awe and thrust his hellfire engulfed fist into Riser's gut. Riser staggered backwards and grabbed his stomach, the pain was intense even for someone who controlled fire. "You're too confident in yourself, learn your limits," scolded Issei as he pulled Riser's hair and threw him across the arena, effectively knocking him out. Issei then teleported back to the engagement hall and began to claim his prize. "Issei Hyoudou, as your reward, which of Riser's servants would you like to trade with?" asked IsseixH's with a thankful smile as his sister was now free thanks to him. "First, a pawn," replied Issei as he took his pawn piece and threw it towards one of Riser's pawns. "Marion." "Me?" asked Marion, shocked that she was chosen. "Yep, I want you to take out the pawn piece you received from Riser and put mine in," ordered Issei with a loving smile, getting Marion to blush. She nodded as she did exactly what she was told. "Marion? You can't just take one of our comrades, you bastard," argued Mira, who was furious at Issei Hyoudou not only for beating their master but also for taking their comrades. "Legally, he can," said Hyoudou as he and the rest of his comrades went beside Riaz, who was still happy at the result of her engagement. Marion felt sad that she had to leave her comrades, but she had to obey her new master. She then approached Issei and went beside him. I feel guilty for taking them apart from each other, but this is necessary. Thought Issei as he then took out his remaining knight piece. A knight, I see. Who would you trade it with, Issei? Asked Xerxes curiously. The one called Cirrus. Replied Issei as he motioned for Cirrus to come over to his side. Cirrus simply obeyed and didn't say a single word. You seem loyal, you will be a great addition to my peerage. Complimented Issei. Cirrus nodded as she traded Riser's knight piece for Issei's. Next is the rook, Isabella. Announced Issei, shocking the rook, but she obeyed nonetheless. Isabella did the same process as her other two comrades, much to Issei's convenience. And lastly, the queen, Eubelluna. Announced Issei as he took out a bishop piece. Ah, so you're making Eubelluna your bishop? Asked Xerxes intrigued. Indeed, I already have someone planned for my queen piece. Replied Issei as he shrugged and traded pieces with Eubelluna. Issei now had a good amount of servants, and that made him happy. Thank you, Issei Hyoudou. Watching your fight tonight was really entertaining. Complimented Xerxes as he laughed. Issei laughed with him and said his goodbyes as he could not stick around for the rest of the party. Issei, I'd like to thank you as well, this means a lot to me. Thanked Riaz as Issei created a magic circle. Haha, I should be thanking you, Riaz. I would not have gotten more servants if I didn't have to save you from Riser. Said Issei with a smile. Riaz blushed at this. Soon afterwards, Issei and his new servants arrived at his house. Hyoudou residence. There are some spare rooms upstairs, I will have one of my other servants retrieve your belongings. Said Issei with a smile, making the girls blush as they nodded and headed upstairs. Ah, feels good to be a harem king. Thought Issei as he sat down on the couch, tired. Partner, just a heads up. They're back. Warned Drake. Whoa. Issei-kun is so big now. He definitely grew up. Said a female voice coming from the boosted gear. Ha. I can sense that he has gotten way stronger. He might just be the strongest Red Dragon Emperor yet. Said a male voice this time. Belzard senpai, Alsha senpai. It's been 2 years. Greeted Issei in his thoughts. Good to see you too, kid. Greeted Belzard with a smirk. Oh my, I just checked your body and I must say you're definitely packing down there, Issei-kun. Teased Alsha, getting Issei to blush. Anyway, Issei requires some rest. Let us leave him alone for tonight. Said Drake, to which Alsha and Belzard agreed. Issei sighed as he then proceeded upstairs to rest. As Issei arrived in his room, he found that a familiar face was waiting for him. Kuroka. What are you doing here? Asked Issei as he lied down on his bed. Naya, well, I heard about your fight with the bird boy, Riser Phoenix. Replied Kuroka as she lied down beside him. And? Asked Issei with a curious face. I also heard that you got some of his servants for yourself, which I can confirm is true, I did sense them in the other rooms, Naya. Replied Kuroka. Naya, you don't see where I'm going, do you? Asked Kuroka with a blank stare. No, not really. Replied Issei as he scratched the back of his head. I want to be a part of your peerage, Naya. Baka. Stated Kuroka. Okay, I'll make you a bishop then. Said Issei as he stood up and gave his bishop piece to Kuroka, who was shocked at the quick acceptance. Naya. Why did you accept so quickly? I wanted you to resist a little bit. Asked Kuroka confused. I am well aware of your abilities, Kuroka. You would be a great addition to my peerage. Replied Issei with a knowing grin. Naya, fair enough. Said Kuroka as the bishop piece manifested into her. Naya, haha, now my chances of having your babies are higher. Informed Kuroka teasingly. Issei simply sighed at this and smirked as his harem just got larger. Going well so far, but why do I feel that our reunion will be coming soon, Katerea? Thought Issei. End of the here. So that's it for today's video, guys. Before you go, just like the video and share it with your friends. Bye.